Andor episode 10 needs to see Cassian escape from the prison, because if not, him and the other inmates will die in there as no one's being released now. We do know an escape attempt does take place because it's in a trailer, but there's one big problem. The electric floors make it near on impossible without some outside help. But seeing as no one knows Cassian's actually in there, I don't think that help's coming. Today we're going to work out Cassian's best escape plan, and if you watch the episode closely, you'll see the clues are scattered all the way through.
Drum roll, please.
Cassian was sentenced under the name of Keith, which means both the Empire and Luthen can't find him there. However, as a result of the Aldhani attack, he has a new problem. No prisoners are allowed to leave. Instead, they're forcibly released only to be resentenced the following day onto another floor, which led to 100 men dying on level 2 once they found out and kicked up a fuss. It's clear the only way out is to escape. Keep in mind what happened on level 2 because it's a key player to how they eventually do get out. The prison's located on a water moon called Nakina 5. Its inmate capacity is 4,900, whilst I've worked out there's no more than 84 guards in total. As Kino told Cassian, there's never more than 12 guards a level. With a little bit of maths we can determine the guards are massively outnumbered 58-1, although that's not a massive problem as they have electric floors. They can just fry you if you step out of line. If we remember back to episode 8 now, after Andor finished his first day shift, he's waiting in the bridge to be transferred back to his cell. This is the first clue. He watches a man using sign language to communicate with another level. This shows us that in spite of the Empire's best attempts to keep them separated to promote competition and increase productivity levels, various prisoners are still communicating. This ties in nicely to episode 9 where we see the same man communicating to another level again. This time though, something's wrong. This is where we learn of the issue on level 2 where an inmate was resentenced on level 4. This caused level 2 to act out as they've realised it doesn't matter how many shifts you've got left because they are counting, you're not leaving. Which echoes what Luthen's been saying throughout the show. Oppression breeds rebellion, and that's also applying to the prisons. In a bid to keep the floor under control and to stop the problem spreading to other floors, the guards turn on the floors in level 2, frying all 100 men from both the day and night shift, killing them all. Whether the guards have carried out such a large-scale fry before or not, I'm not sure, but what it did expose is a big vulnerability, something I saw Cassian take notice of. The power cut out momentarily. This part's vital because we have now seen their biggest weapon against the inmates rendered useless, but only for a matter of seconds. So then that brings in the next problem. How can the inmates force the power off? And this time for longer. Kino Loy, the floor manager and fellow prisoner, is going to be absolutely vital in this next part. But he almost messes it all up before it begins. Although he's a prisoner himself, he's in charge of the day shift on Cassian's level, therefore holds a higher position than the other prisoners. Fulfilling his role, he tries his best to calm the situation on the bridge when the inmates first caught word of the issue on level 2, telling the man who's using sign language to communicate that the message he's receiving could be wrong due to the sheer amount of hands needed to pass a message from one side of the prison to the other. Besides, it would take a week for news from level 2 to reach them as it's so far away, so if it was true, they wouldn't have heard about it yet. Whilst Kino might be right implying a word has to travel through many hands and can be changed along the way, which is another issue in itself which we'll cover in a moment, he was wrong about the length of time it would take for the word to spread, as we indeed learned something was up on level 2 and Cassian's level heard of it almost immediately. It's a good job these inmates don't take Kino's word as law. With this vital line of communication existing between the floors, this could be a good way to try and coordinate a mass breakout with the other inmates across the entire prison, as we already know they massively outnumber the guards, and if the power cuts out after frying one floor, imagine what would happen if they tried frying 7 floors at the same time. The problem with this though is the inmates don't know how much time they'll have to overthrow the guards and gain control. It could be a couple of hours or it could be a couple of seconds like the first time. This is one of the big problems and incredibly risky because if this plan fails and they don't escape, they're going to wish they were already dead. Luckily though, this question is answered in one of the trailers which shows Cassian smashing a control panel during what looks like to be the big breakout. This could very well be the panel that controls the floors in that area, so the inmates would only need to cut the power off long enough to be able to break the controls for it. Let's just hope the floor isn't stuck in the on setting after that. The plan so far is shaping up nicely, but we still have a problem in the communication. Going back to what we said a moment ago, Kino was right about a message being misinterpreted and spread incorrectly, resulting in the breakout failing. Thankfully, there's also a solution to this answer. If we go to the end of episode 9, where Olaf, the older inmate, falls down on his way back to his cell suffering a big stroke, a medic is sent to try and help them. The Empire needs as many men as possible to build their parts, but this medic is also a prisoner. He's in the same boat as all the others, except he can access all of the floors when needed. And we learn he's the one that actually told another floor of what happened on level 2, which caused the word to get out so fast. Passing the message through to this medic, who can then deliver it directly himself to all the other floors, is the most direct and fastest way to get the word around, right under the Empire's noses. As Cassian says, they don't need to listen, all they need to do is turn the floors on twice a day. There's a lot of cogs involved in this breakout theory, but this whole idea stuck out to me like a sore thumb when I was watching episode 9, so much so I wanted to set it all out in order and present it to you guys. Besides, this is exactly the type of idea I think Tony Gilroy would run with, as to carry out it's extremely risky and it will more than likely result in a lot of deaths from both the inmates and the guards, who even though outnumbered will still have their shock rods and blasters to try and defend themselves. Given the evidence we've gone through today, do you see the breakout happening this way? Let me know in the comments. I've really enjoyed the direction this show's going in, and I can't wait for episode 10 to see if the clues I've picked up here are actually a part of the breakout. Thanks for watching the video, and may the force be with you.